Is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with that video. Today we're going to just talk about Fred VanVleet, a guy that's a restricted free agent, getting a lot of headlines this year, put in some valuable minutes last year, had a significantly better season this year, made a name for himself, potentially made himself some big money, especially because he played well in the regular season, and he was a big contribution to this Toronto's Raptors success. Remember, even going into the playoffs, people made a big deal that him getting that shoulder injury and him not being healthy was going to hurt the Raptors because he plays with them on the fourth quarter. He gives them that ball handler. He gives them that shooter. He plays hard. He's a great defender for his size and his athleticism, and he wants to win. He wants to be, a guy that contributes to a winning team. And the Raptors, picked him up. They seen something in him that we didn't. Picked him up for cheap. Gave him basically a low ball deal because he really wasn't even going to be in the NBA. So they said, hey, we'll give you this a seat. We'll try you out. We'll use you. And, he worked his way up from just being a guy that might not even stay on the roster for a year to a guy that stayed on the roster, came back and gave them valuable minutes, and even played in the playoffs in fourth quarters, where that's something that none of us seen coming when they signed him. And neither did probably Toronto, but they seen something in them, so I would definitely give them credit. But first, a lot of people, I made videos like this. I don't really think Fred VanVleet is a starting point guard in this league, not to diss him or anything. But I try to tell people that just look around the league. It's not really too many teams that you can go to and say that they need a franchise point guard or a superstar point guard with potential, or just picking up a young player and hopefully he develops into a superstar. I even said that about Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier has made a name for himself in these last 2 months, playing some valuable minutes, knocking down key shots, helping them get out of the first and second round, and helping them get to a 2-1 lead. But it's really not that many teams he can really go to and say, I want to be a starter. And another thing that hurts a lot of these players is that the NBA draft is coming up. So even if you wanted to go for a franchise point guard, you might as well do it in the draft because you don't have to pay them that much money right away. And you can kind of develop them for the team and the system in the future. And you can let them learn a lot more because you probably a bad team and you need somebody that can come in and bring some excitement and show some potential. And, they'd be 19, 20 years old compared to being 23, 24 years old like Rozier and these other point guards are. So it's hard to, want to rebuild around somebody older when you can always get a young, more exciting and higher ceiling player through the draft on a cheap contract, because the only real point guard is Trae Young that a lot of people are talking about, and even him, he has a lot of red flags. And even after Trae Young, the thing about it is not too many other point guard that scream franchise player. So I don't see Fred VanVleet franchise point guard. Terry Rozier, he playing like one, but I doubt that a team will be like, we want to pay you as the max that you can get, and we want you to be our franchise guy. And even if it does happen, that's one more spot that's not available for Fred VanVleet. And like I said, you still have the draft where people can draft a point guard that's younger and they can come in and contribute, whether it's in the early, but in the middle of the draft, or even in the 15 to 20 range, or even in the second round. You can always take those type of chances. And that's actually how Fred VanVleet came in here. He didn't really do anything good. He worked hard, played hard, and put a lot of work in, and he became a valuable component to this success of the Toronto Raptors, and getting those valuable minutes and making valuable plays, knocking down threes, holding positions, being able to play the one or the two and stretch out the floor and open it up for DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry to play off the ball was a dynamic that they needed, but they didn't see it coming from Fleet, and he ended up being able to do it for them throughout the whole season. So I definitely think that they're going to have to pay him And I think that's going to be one of their biggest problems because as a restricted free agent, if they wasn't able to negotiate a contract and come to a deal where both teams was happy, now you have a scenario where a team can just offer him more money than the Raptors really will want to pay, and they don't really want to go on a luxury tax because they already paying Lowry, they already paying DeRozan, and they paying Serge Ibaka, they paying Jonas Valanciunas, and you still have other players like OG and them that you want to pay in the future that you might not have the money to really want to match unless you get rid of Lowry, which is he's valuable. He's a guy that can play D and shoot the three and sometimes create off the ball, so that opens the opportunity that you can possibly trade him. But I don't hear any Raptors fans saying that they rather have Van Fleet than Lowry, and I don't see any Raptors fans saying get rid of Lowry either. I know this is not up to the fans, but I don't see people clamoring over Van Fleet, thinking he should be the franchise guy. We even seen it with Corey Joseph giving him valuable minutes the last couple seasons to the point where, they traded him after that, and Van Fleet was able to step up in his absence, and they get a weapon like C.J. Miles that helped them all season. But, I like Corey Joseph. I thought that was a good pickup, but then he ended up getting traded anyway. So I think that they're definitely not going to get rid of Lowry because he is an all-star talent, and he has been able to produce and help them win, even though it's only in a regular season. They're still having some type of success, and the fans are really loving this new age Raptors team that's been able to make it to the playoffs and even become the number one seed in the East this season. Um, so I don't really think that they have the cap or the money to really offer him even like a $60 million deal. And that's not even that bad considering that the contracts everybody else be getting, you'd be like, dang, Fran VanVleet got 60. That's a deal. That's a good deal. But I don't even know if they can offer him that. And I think a team can do like Alfred Payton, for example, is another guy I can compare him to. He's a guy that is a player that you want on your team when it comes to being a backup. He's better than a lot of other point guards. Do I want him to be my franchise guy? Do I want him to be, the leader of my team, depending on the roster, depending on where they're at? Maybe, but most likely I'll try to sign him to a, 3-year, 4-year deal that's on real low numbers. Max money you would probably pay Alfred Payton, and a new age salary cap is probably $10 million. I'm more of a 6 to 7 million guy, a little bit over the rookie salary, but higher than the minimal. And 10 million is the farthest I will go. And Van Fleet has way more potential and playing power than a guy like Alfred Payton. So that just show you the gap of the point guard talent. And even going into this draft, a lot of them not the 6'2", 6'3" point guards that you see running around now, and it's even getting to the point where you're starting to see 6'5" point guards that really should be twos, but they've been playing point guard their whole life, that they have the DNA to be able to play both positions and be combo guards like D'Angelo Russell, and Reggie Jackson's of the world. And they actually, I think D'Angelo Russell gonna get paid. And I also think you've seen Reggie Jackson get 70, 80 million, and he became a starter. He been not even healthy, so I definitely think this is going to be tough for the Raptors fans because, as a restricted free agent, somebody can offer him the max. They can offer him whatever. Obviously, the Raptors can offer him more years for longevity, which does play big in his, thinking that, if I stay with the Raptors, I can get paid and get some money that can really change my life. And I can get that 5 years guaranteed, but also you might get a better opportunity somewhere else, and you might also get more money, but you might not get that extra year of security that a lot of teams and a lot of mostly a lot of players won't, but the teams don't mind giving it to them because they know if you're on good numbers, like Danny Ainge, for example, I know I can always flip you to a draft pick, flip you into a bigger asset because you're on a tradable, affordable, good-looking contract, which a lot of teams don't really do. And Toronto is one of the teams that overpaid a lot of people, and that's why they're in the situation where they strapped up in the books. So Fred VanVleet is a valuable prospect. He's a guy that a lot of teams should definitely look at signing because he can play off the bench. He can be a solid starter if you need him. Somebody get injured, he can come in. You'll know that he can do the job. He's gonna do the right things, and he's gonna contribute to winning. Plus, you're not really going to be paying them a significant amount of money. to play that role, but you know he can do it, and that's powerful knowing that once my star go to the bench, we got Fred VanVleet, and that's what I was saying about Corey Joseph. Once Kyle Lowry went to the bench, you like, okay, we still got Corey Joe. The drop off ain't that significant. You know he's going to defend, he's going to play hard, and he's going to, you know, could help you win games. And Kyle Lowry missed a lot of games, even in the playoffs last year, even 2 years ago when they played against Cleveland. And Corey Joseph did a solid job that whole time. And he got paid and he won a ring. And now he's in Indiana. He had a solid season with them and gave him some valuable minutes. So worst case scenario, he's a guy that's coming off the bench, getting a decent salary. Best case scenario, he's on another team starting, getting paid a solid contract because they can't offer him the 5th year. And, you know, his max is only 2 years, so he can't really get a super high amount anyway because of how the rules are for free agents. So I like him. He can contribute. He's a good player. He's definitely a valuable asset for any team. And he's still young and he has a lot of potential. And, you know, hopefully that shoulder injury don't scare off a lot of teams, you know, going into free agency. So let me know, do you think he's going to stay with the Raptors? Do you think they're going to trade him? Sign and trade? Do you think they're going to try to match the offer? Do you think they're going to try to create some space so he can stay? Or do you think that another team going to say, hey, we can offer him more money. We're going to give him a contract that we know they're not going to match. And then we're going to get the player that we want. And that is a dick move, but we done seen a lot of teams do it where they give these players ridiculous contracts, like the Chandler Parsons. Mark Cuban gave a deal to Chandler Parsons, and the Rockets GM said, I'd be crazy paying Chandler Parsons that much money. And Mark Cuban ended up getting him, and he got paid, but they ended up signing Trevor Ariza. And it was written after that because Trevor Ariza is helping them get to 2 Western Conference Finals, and they had the ability to go up 2-1 today. And you know, you basically paying him millions less, not 1, 2. You paying him 4, 5, 6 million less dollars than what everybody been paying Chandler Parsons, and he's doing damn near the same job that Chandler Parsons do. Besides, he's not the playmaker, but you don't really care because you had James Harden these years, and now you have Chris Paul. You don't really need him to do that, and he's on a better contract, and he's more valuable right now than Chandler Parsons because he haven't been able to stay healthy. That's the bad side of the deal, but that was the best case scenario for Chandler Parsons. Either way it go, he's not having the best the season, but he is getting a check that's paying his family bills for another 10 to 20 years if he do it right. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link will be in the description in the comment section below. And let me know, will Fred VanVleet be a Raptor going into next season?